Hello everybody, it's Pineapple here, back with another video. And so today I thought we would talk about the brand new archetype that's coming up in Cyberstorm Axis, and that is Nemurelia. So if you're unfamiliar with Nemurelia, it's a series of monsters that focus on banishing cards face down from your own deck. And if you know what that synergizes with, it synergizes great with things like the Golden Castle of Stromberg, and of course Grenmaju. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, we have Nemurelia Dream Defender, Aurelia. I can't pronounce these names, forgive me. And if you have a face-up Pendulum monster in your extra deck, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only special it once per turn. If you have Sleeping Nemurelia in your extra deck, you can banish one card from your extra deck face down, and it gains 500 attack for each monster your opponent controls, which is, an effect. It's a card. We then have Nemurelia Dream Eater Reveal. It has you banish 3 cards from your extra deck face down to special summon itself. And you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck except Pendulum monsters for the rest of the turn. Additionally, you can send one level 10 beast monster from your hand or face the field to the graveyard and then set a Nemurelia trap directly from your deck, which is pretty nice. We then have 3 copies of the Nemurelia Dream Defender Colette. This is actually a good card. If you have a face-up Pendulum monster in your extra deck, you can special it from your hand for free. You can only special it once per turn. And when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a Nemurelia card you control while you have Dreaming Nemurelia face up in your extra deck, you can banish a face-down card from your extra deck and negate the activation. That's a once per turn because these cards aren't good. But then we have, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but Sleeping Princess. And it has the effect that if it's in your hand, you can target a monster you control, place it on the bottom of your deck, and special summon it. And then you get to activate one of these 2 effects, add a Dreaming Nemurelia from your deck to your extra deck face up, or change one monster on the field to face down defense position. It's okay, it does things, but it gets out bodies, which is pretty nice. We then have our Golden Castle of Stromberg package, Hexatrude, Orochi, Gilaf the Phantom Beast to search the field spell, Grenmaju, of course, because we want to, punch really, really hard. We then have 3 copies of Dreaming Nemurelia. Once per turn during your main phase while it's in your Pendulum scale, you can place Nemurelia Continuous Spell from your deck or graveyard face up on your field and place Nemurelia in the extra deck. While it's a monster, it can't be normal summoned or set. It has to be special summoned from your extra deck by having no cards in your extra deck except itself. And then you can only special summon it once per turn. If it is special summoned, for every 3 of your face down banished cards, you get to banish up to 1 card on your opponent's field or graveyard face down, and then you shuffle one of your face down banished cards into your deck for each card you banish by this effect, which is a really good effect if you can manage to bring her out. I am yet to do so, but we're going to keep trying. That said, this card is basically everything because it gets you to your continuous spell, which is a searcher, but we'll get to that later. We then have 3 copies of Lightning Storm because we are an OTK deck, 2 copies of Desires because, again, want to make Grenmaju fucking huge. We then have 3 copies of Sweet Dreams Nemurelia. As you add a Nemurelia monster from your deck to your hand, and then if you have a Dreaming Nemurelia in your extra deck, your opponent doesn't get to activate cards or effects when a Nemurelia monster is normal or special. You can place it from your grave to the bottom of your deck, and then target a Dreaming Nemurelia you control, and add it to the extra deck face up, which I've never had come up, but is an effect that I guess matters in a certain degree. Dreaming Tower of Princess Nemurelia. This is your continuous target for, of course, Dreaming Nemurelia. And as you banish 2 cards from your extra deck face down and add 2 level 10 beast monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. And additionally, you cannot special summon monsters from your extra deck the turn you activate this card, except Pendulums, and you can only use it once per turn. Additionally, if a Nemurelia monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, it has a substitution effect. And then we have, of course, Golden Castle Stromberg and our trap target, Nemurelia Louvet. It has you special summon a Nemurelia monster or a level 10 beast from your hand or deck in defense position, but it's returned to your hand during the end phase. Additionally, you can banish it from your grave and then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, and it loses 100 attack and defense for each of your cards that are currently banished face down. We then have 2 copies of Ash Blossom, just sort of filler. In the extra, it's not really anything important since you're never really going into it, but we have Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon and Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max, as well as the Numeron Dragon package in the event that it ever comes up. We then have, of course, 3 copies of Nightmare Unicorn just to remove generic things. So with that, let's hop into the gameplay. So, for our first matchup, we're up against the ever lovely 8-axis pile. They'll begin with Pot of Desires. They're going second. They will start with Fenrir, which I know is not a typical 8-axis thing, but I'll have to Ash Blossom this because I think they're on, regular Kashtira. From here, they'll fire off Orochi, and normal Luna. They'll grab another Luna. From here, they're just trying to extend, and they'll fire off Astral Karibo, reveal Drek Lubion, and then, fire Thunderbird, Nerdbird. They'll make the Lancelot, which is a negate. We'll fire our Orochi, force out a Lancelot, and that's completely fine by us. We'll fire Orochi again to attempt to force the Lancelot again, which they will happily respond to. They'll fire their own Orochi. And from here, we're kind of off to the races. We will start with Sweet Dreams in order to grab ourselves Nemurelia. We'll fire off Nemurelia, grab ourselves our continuous spell, and then proceed to banish some more to grab our 2 guys. We'll banish another 3 from our extra deck. They'll Fenrir, which we're completely fine with, and then they will Luna us. From here, we will just negate the Luna, and then proceed to fire off Desires, normal Grand Maju, go to battle, and get in for well over lethal. You'll love to see it. Yeah. So, for our second match, we're up against Pacifist, the Phantasm City. A very strange deck. They'll start with Pacifist and die, which is about as good as it gets for them. They'll trigger their Pacifist and grab Spiral Power. But to be honest, we really don't care here. They'll pass back to us, and we will drop Orochi, and they'll trigger Pacifist here. This is completely fine by us, as we'll draw for turn, and it's a Golden Castle card, which is pretty good for us. So we'll Desires to draw some more cards, and then proceed to fire off our Ever Lovely Bird to grab the Golden Castle. We'll scale, and they will proceed to clear our scale, which is completely fine by us. We'll special, banish, special again, switch Orochi to attack, clear their guy, but they will proceed to negate us, but that's completely fine. From here, we'll fire off Stromberg and grab out the bird, as it's the only target left in our deck, and then we'll return the bird to our deck, and special out another one of the Nemurelia monsters. From here, we'll get in for a whole bunch of damage, and pass back to our opponent. But not before we set, of course, Nemurelia Louvre, which will unfortunately trigger Pacifist the Phantasm City, but ultimately, we're pretty much in control of this game, as we have the ability to just normal Grand Maju and win the game. They'll pop our back row, and they'll attempt to, play the game. They'll normal summon another Megalo Smasher, which is pretty good for them, and they grab themselves another Spiral Battle. They'll fire off Spiral Battle to clear Stromberg, set 1, and pass back to us. From here, they'll drop Sea Stealth, but we really don't care here, as we can just get in for damage for lethal right now, without ever having to summon another guy to give them another token. So, it's time for the third match, and fortunately for us, it's nothing scary. It's Volcanic. Oh no. Big whoop. They'll go through some Volcanic plays, they'll trigger Shell, grab themselves another Shell. And they've drawn pretty badly, so they'll normal the Shell, set 1, make Sunlight Wolf, and pass back to us. They're very much looking like a Salamangreat board. We've drawn Dreaming Nemurelia for turn, which is about as good as it gets. We'll proceed to banish 2 from our extra deck face down to grab 2 more. Or we'll fire off Nemurelia, trigger Nemurelia to place another one of our continuous spell, with Desires here to draw some more cards. Mostly we're just trying to banish stuff. We don't really care. We'll normal Grand Maju, banish another one face down to increase the attack, and get in for a whole bunch of damage. Actually, exactly lethal. So if you haven't noticed, the best part of this deck is the Grand Maju cards. The Nemurelia cards are not that great. It's not that consistent. But for the 4th game, you'll see something pretty special, I hope. So for our last match, we are up against Punk Zombies. They'll start with Zombie World and then proceed to card destruction us, which is very funny. Because their hand was literally unplayable. They'll go for Jacobolin, normal Ash, make Barone, and we're kind of off to the races here. They'll proceed to Mizuki back their Jacobolin, and we will proceed to drop Orochi to play around this Jacobolin, which they're completely fine with. We'll force the Barone here with Orochi, which they will negate and destroy. From here, we'll drop Lightning Storm. They'll take our Orochi, and then they will proceed to activate their Banshee. From here, we will grab Stromberg, we'll activate Nemurelia. We'll grab 2 more. And from here, we're kind of chilling. We'll banish another 3, special out our guy, normal Grand Maju, and get in for a whole bunch of damage. From here, we're kind of just hanging out. And we'll fire off Stromberg, which is basically at the end of the game. Since now they're under, Magic Cylinder. The normal Plague Spreader, and we'll fire off Louvre to get out our negate. And they will concede. So, my thoughts on the deck, it's not good. You can sleep on this deck. It needs a whole lot more support, and the best parts of it are just, playing the Grand Maju cards. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did, and I'll see you guys in the next one.